Okay, here we're at 2.7A, and our goal here is to graph quadratic functions in general form. So a quick reminder, the general form, the general, sometimes you're going to hear me call it standard form. It's the same thing. So the general form or standard form, it's going to be f of x equals a x squared plus bx plus c. All right, so graphing quadratic functions from this form, it will seem really confusing, but you need to trust me and follow the steps. I have way too many kids make this way more difficult than it has to be. It is really not that hard. What we're going to do is we're going to find the vertex. Once we find the vertex, we find a couple of other points, and then after that, we could just draw the graph. So we're going to find the vertex, find a couple points, and then draw the graph. Now I have to show you how to find the vertex first, right? So our steps are going to be quite simple. One, we want to find the vertex. All right, and we find the vertex, and I'm going to do this in a code, and then we're going to dissect the code. So the vertex is in the form of negative b over 2a, comma, f of negative b over 2a. In other words, this is my h and this is my k. H, the x-coordinate of the vertex, is negative b over 2a. So here's my b value and here's my a value. And then I'm going to take whatever number that is, I'm going to plug it into the function, and then I'll get my y value for the vertex out. So here we're going to do little baby steps in here. We're going to do negative b over 2a. We're going to plug that back in. And then we'll have our vertex. Once we get our vertex, we're going to make a table of values. So I'm going to call this a quick table. So the quick table of values, you're going to have this, you're going to get an x and a y value. And right here, you're going to have your vertexes in the middle. And then we're going to go two numbers to the left of the vertex and two numbers to the right of the vertex. And we're going to plug those into the function, and whatever we get back out is going to be the y value, right? X goes in, y comes out. After that, then we get to plot and draw the graph. So plot points and draw. And then we'll answer any other possible questions that they may have. So if the questions ask for an axis of symmetry, we can they find the axis of symmetry, whatever else there may be. And just to make sure we're all on the same page, I want you to recall that the axis of symmetry is in the form of x equals h. Okay? All right, so let's try an example and let's see how we do. The first example we have here, f of x equals x squared plus 4x plus 3. Just to help myself along sometimes, it's helpful to write your a, b, and c values. Here, a, the number in front of x squared, is just a 1. B is a 4. C is a 3. All right, so following our steps, the first step, again, we want to find the vertex. So in order to find the vertex, I need to do the opposite of b, so negative b over 2a. And that, instead of a b and instead of an a, I have parentheses. Well, negative b, so b here in this instance is 4, a is 1, negative, so the opposite of positive 4, right? I have a negative 4 over 2 times 1, which is 2, and that simplifies to negative 2. So then I can start off by stating my vertex is negative 2, and it's going to be something else. So I need to take the negative 2, and plug it into the function. All right, so f of negative b over 2a really says f of negative 2. And f of negative 2 gives me, we have x squared plus 4x plus 3. And then we can put my negative 2 in there. I highly suggest using parentheses. And right now, if you're thinking to yourself, I don't need to use parentheses, you're the person I'm talking to. You're the person that's going to see negative 2 squared and call it negative 4, and I'm not going to feel any sorrow for you. Okay? Use parentheses. So, negative 2 squared is negative 2 times negative 2. Yes, that's a 2. And negative 2 squared is a positive 4. And then we have 4 times negative 2, which is negative 8, and plus 3. 4 minus 8 is negative 4, and negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. So now I know my k value, right? My vertex in h comma k, my vertex is negative 2 comma negative 1. So when I go to set up my table of values, x comma y, in the middle, I put my x and y values of negative 2, negative 1. Now, I need to go find the two numbers to the left of negative 2 and the two numbers to the right of negative 2. So here's negative 2. The two numbers to the left are negative 3 and negative 4. So negative 3, negative 4. The two numbers to the right are negative 1 and 0. So negative 1 and 0. So I plug these numbers back into the original, and we get the y value back out. So f of negative 4, I'm just going to go down the line, negative 4, negative 3, negative 1, and 0. F of negative 4 is parentheses squared plus 4 times parentheses plus 3. Put a negative 4 in there, negative 4 in there. Negative 4 squared is a positive 16. 4 times negative 4 is a negative 16 plus 3. Well, 16 minus 16 is 0, so I get a 3 back out. So I put a 3 right there. F of negative 3, parentheses squared plus 4 times parentheses plus 3. And then I want to put a negative 3 in here. Negative 3 squared is a positive 9. 4 times negative 3 is a negative 12 plus 3. 9 minus 12 is negative 3 plus 3 is 0. So I get a 0 here. And now f of negative 1, parentheses squared plus 4 times parentheses plus 3. We're going to do negative 1 here and here. Negative 1 squared is 1. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4 plus 3. 1 minus 4 is negative 3 plus 3 is 0. So I get a 0 here. And f of 0, parentheses squared plus 4 times parentheses plus 3. So I plug a 0 in here and here. 0 squared is 0. 4 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 3 is 3. So I get a 3 here. And now I want to plot my points. I'm going to try this in a different color. Yeah, I'm fancy around here. All right, so starting with the vertex, negative 2, negative 1. Well, negative 2, negative 1, here's my vertex right there. And then my 2 to the left, negative 3, 0, negative 3, 0. And negative 4, positive 3. So negative 4, 1, 2, 3 up here. Negative 1, 0. Here's negative 1, 0. And 0, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. Here we are. And now I can draw my parabola. All right, and that's it. That's the whole thing. That's how we're going to graph in standard form. We're going to do one more example, but before we do that, I want to take a look at some really neat things that are going to cut our work way, way, way down. Notice that this number right here, this is my vertex on my table of values, right? Here's my vertex. And notice that the numbers just 1 away are going to be the same, and the numbers that are 2 away are going to be the same. So what I'm going to do from here on out, after I find my vertex, I'm going to choose the 2 numbers that are easiest to plug in, And that way I can get the other numbers quickly. And if you're struggling with this, that's fine. Just plug all of them in and you're going to get your numbers out. All right, so let's try one more example and see what we get. All right, negative 2x squared plus 4x. Well, my a value here is negative 2. My b value is a 4. And c in this instance is 0. Although we don't really use c when we graph, it's still kind of just nice to know. All right, so the first thing we want to do is find the vertex. And that vertex, the negative b over 2a, again, I use parentheses. I use parentheses because I don't want to lose track of negative, negative, negative numbers. And what's a negative, negative, negative number, especially if you're going to keep track of that in your mind, it gets really confusing. So if you use parentheses, you can be really lazy. You're welcome. All right, so the b value here is 4. A value here is negative 2. So the opposite of positive 4 is negative 4. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 divided by negative 4 is a positive 1. Now I want to take this 1 and plug it back into the function. So f of 1 is negative 2 times 1 squared plus 4 times 1. All right, so 1 squared is 1. And then negative 2 times 1 is going to be negative 2. And the plus 4 times 1 is 4. Negative 2 plus 4 is 2. Now I get to start my table of values. My table of values, I have my x and my y. Down here in the middle, I want to put my vertex of 2, 1. I got that backwards. My bad. In fact, I'm just going to ignore this whole thing because I'm using pen, which is really frustrating. I get my x and my y. The x value is a 1. The y value is a 2. All right, so here's 1. The two numbers to the left are going to be 0 and negative 1. So 0 and negative 1. The two numbers to the right are 2 and 3. So it was 2 and 3. Now, this might seem confusing, but it has everything to do with symmetry. What I'm going to do is I'm only going to plug in the two numbers to the left or the two numbers to the right that are easiest to plug in. Well, 0 is the easiest one in the world to plug into a function. So I'm going to use f of negative 1 and f of 0. I'm going to plug these two numbers into my function. So f of negative 1, I have negative 2 times negative 1 squared plus 4 times negative 1. Which gives me negative 1 squared is 1. So I'm left with negative 2 times 1 plus 4 times negative 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. And 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. So negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. So here I get a negative 6. Now I can plug f of 0 into the function. So here we go. Negative 2 times 0 squared plus 4 times 0. 0 squared is 0. Negative 2 times 0 is 0. 4 times 0 is 0. And 0 plus 0 equals 0. Wow. Which tells me whenever I plug a 2 into this whole thing, I will get a 0 back. And when I plug a 3 into this function, I will get negative 6 back. If you don't trust me, go ahead and plug them in and try it out. I highly suggest you prove it to yourself that there is symmetry here. Now I need to plot my points and draw my graph. All right, so negative 1, negative 6. Negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 we get right here. 0, 0. 1, 2. 2, 0. 3. Well, that was a little bit off there. 3, negative 6. And now we can see our graph take shape. There we go.